Spawning down in the spawning up in the top left position, might I add, it is the green Zerg player. It's AsTeR. And his opponent down in the bottom right, the blue Protoss. It's Ourk. So Ourk versus AsTeR. Who is going to win this? In honesty, I don't know. AsTeR showed last game that he has some spectacularly good calculated play. I think calculated is the best way to describe it. And the reason I use that term is because he didn't rush anything. Yes, he went for a very aggressive mid game up against lethal. But the thing was, he got some Roaches and Banelings and some Zerglings, but he expanded behind it once that pressure was coming on. And then he was very calculated. He slowly picked apart the army, used Vipers of Ducks very skillfully in order to get that mech army whittled down into bite-sized chunks and didn't take bad engagements. If he can replicate that, it could be very problematic for Ourk to deal with. Now, AsTeR, up against the Protoss player, needs to vary up his build. He could go hatch, pull. That's one option. He could also go pull, hatch, and that seems to be what he's doing, just playing it safe. Of course, Belshir is a map where you can go for a Forge Fast expansion, although it's a little bit tough and less common due to the very wide natural ramp. Now, Ourk, he's got many options available, especially from this gateway opening. The reason being is because that is so versatile. It's why many Protoss players really like it. For a start, these two gas, these could be multiple things. If 3 probes go in each, it could be a very tech-heavy play off of one base, a very early Stargate. A proxy Stargate, for example, down here, incredibly potent build. Otherwise, there's other fun things going down. You could get 2 additional gateways here, plus Stargate, 2 additional gateways, plus a Robo, Twilight Council, etc. 3 additional gateways, going into some delayed 4-gate pressure with a Mothership Core. All viable, all very powerful, and need a different response from the Zerg. It will be really interesting to see is when AsTeR chooses to get down his 3rd hatch on gas, because up against this gateway expand, he doesn't need to rush out the 3rd anymore. So I'm glad to see. Oh, he cancelled the gas. I thought he was going to get that. I was just getting it for the supply. But yeah, up against a gateway expand, really you want to go hatch, pull, or pull, hatch, gas. And the reason you want that gas down is for the speed to defend against any pressure, and more importantly, deny any pylons. But we see 6lings are coming over at the moment, so AsTeR going to be going a little bit on the aggressive side of things. 1 Zealot is coming up, but that'll need to stay as part of the wall off. Won't be able to defend this pylon, which could be a good quick little win here for AsTeR until the Mothership Core does come out for Ourk, and it's not going to be there probably in time to defend this pylon, which may be a little bit frustrating. Was the Zealot cancelled? Oh, the Zealot was cancelled. That's even more annoying there for Ourk, because he's not got anything other than that Mothership Core to defend with. Another pylon being forced to use just to complete the wall off, but suddenly acting as quite a large delay in terms of getting the Nexus down. And with the probe also being discovered, 1 Zergling going to chase down on that. Meanwhile, Ourk's Mothership Core doing a good amount of damage. 2 additional gateways getting thrown down. And can it be seen? Well, 1 was spotted. The 2nd is just out of vision range, which is going to be frustrating. But the important thing is this probe is not going to be placing a proxy pylon, and if it does, it will certainly be known about. So this is a very strong position for AsTeR to be in. Ourk is getting his natural base delayed and is having to switch up things a bit. This means his economy is going to be hurting. What I'd love to see AsTeR do is commit a bit more to being defensive now, because there's going to be some counter aggression coming in here due to these additional gateways. It's really the option Ourk's got. He's got to put on some pressure, and that means that if AsTeR doesn't get down, say for example some spines or some roaches or a lot of queens or a combination of those, he could be running into problems. Now that Ourk as well is getting down the Stargate, there's going to be a need for some anti-air to be in play. Lots of drones are on their way through. Unfortunately, the watchtower not being held, so I don't believe at the moment AsTeR knows about this move forward. He is going to get a quick little peek at the Mothership Core and Zealot, but knows there's not a proxy pylon yet. He's also got great positioning with this Overlord. Look at how much he can see here, getting a great view. Also running forward with these links to get a little peek of the sentry. Could even try and run up the ramp in order to just get confirmation of any tech that's coming. May just go for the pylon though. We'll have to keep a good eye on that. The pylon could actually go down, which would be a bit annoying. Would have supply blocked Ourk, but the Zerglings just being conserved for the moment so they can just get more scouting information. Force field being used, that denies the fact that an Oracle is on its way out, or denies vision of the fact that the Oracle is on its way out. But still, these Zerglings running about having a good time. Currently on this rally point, there isn't an Overlord that's going to intercept it, which will be a bit frustrating, but there are a good number of queens about for AsTeR 2. So Ourk, what he needs to do is just get some damage done. He's got to do something good with these oracles, because his natural nexus is so far delayed at the moment. Zerglings are getting a good little whip around to try and get some information. Interestingly, no spores have been started, because the other thing Ourk could have been doing was getting some DTs, and they would have been very effective since there isn't any detection. Oh, the Oracle spotted, really nice there. So suddenly, AsTeR should know what's coming down. He needs to pull the queens together. 2 queens will beat an Oracle quite happily. 1 queen unfortunately dies to an Oracle in a head-on fight. But drones are going to be the target at the moment. A couple of drones already getting picked off. So far, only 4 kills. May be able to rack up another one. Trying to chase it down, but unfortunately getting sandwiched between these queens now, taking significant amounts of fire. Just manages to sneak away up in towards the main base, where it may potentially get another kill. There's another Oracle on its way through, but it is seen by an Overlord down there. Assuming, of course, AsTeR was able to pay attention to that. He may have been looking at these drones, just making sure they stay alive. But the first Oracle pulling back, the second one making its way forward. Queens still just sitting around in the middle there, just going to try and defend things. Could do with keeping 2 at each base. 2 queens don't beat 2 oracles, unfortunately, which is a bit of a problem, but, well, Hydrogen should get started any second now, and a lot has been committed to getting these oracles down. And oh, it's not going to be a Hydrogen, it's going to be an infestation pit actually. So AsTeR going to be mixing things around a bit, pulling these drones back to safety. 3 more queens on their way up. Keeping queens alive is quite good prioritization rather. But what it does mean is that a lot of mining time was lost there. Getting the gas back as soon as possible. The queens staying up near the main. The oracles could arch around, try and go in towards the natural base, which is now exposed. But spore crawlers are also on their way through. The queens do need to go down there, ideally pulling 2 just to buy a bit more time. But Ourk, with these 2 oracles, going to try and have a bit of a party. The Zergling's getting a good little scout out, sees the chrono boost coming down on the forge. Do they spot the robotic facility? Yes, I know the timing of that. That's really solid. And Ourk's basic plan is to say, well, do you know what, if I get +1 up and I start switching into some splash damage, don't overuse the Stargate, I should be okay. But the oracles, they're getting ready to come on their way back through. But note, there's a spore crawler up there. The 2 queens are there as well. There are a couple of drones that could still be hit from on these extractors by the oracles, so the queens need to make sure that they're stopping that. 1 oracle getting very low will get taken out, significantly harming what can be done. The second oracle getting some nice damage. In total, 15 workers have been killed so far by Ourk, and that's a significant amount of damage. It's something that you're going to be very pleased with, and you're certainly going to be trying to keep doing. But look at this. Queen Swarm Host plus a Nidus Worm. This is going to be some fun times. So very shortly about to be a big push going in towards Ourk's natural. Unfortunately, this Overlord getting pushed back, but that won't stop it. Ourk moving down, attempting to secure up a safe place to get his 3rd. But he's about to get a Nidus Worm, and I don't think he knows about that, and that's not going to be too fun for him. Essentially, though, we do just see at the moment AsTeR waiting to get it somewhere more safely. Just keep putting it back a bit further, wants to secure it up so he can get those Swarm Hosts in a very offensive position very early on. This Queen Swarm Host build was first really used, I believe, by TLO, who made a very effective play with it. And the reason is because the Queens are essentially fantastic against the Void Rays, which are the scariest thing really that you're going to be coming up against these Swarm Hosts. And that's because of the Transfuses, it's because of the anti-air. And then the Locust on the ground can really deal with all the gateway forces pretty simply, and that's just never ending. Remember, Locusts don't even cost energy, they just spawn by themselves all the time. And anything that they kill is therefore absolutely 100% cost effective. Now, an Oracle is going to try and pick off a couple more drones here. Unfortunately, all the queens were pulled through to the Nidus network, so there are a couple missing for the moment. The Oracle could come back and try and deal some more damage. The Swarm Host just attempting to get a little further forward. Force fields being used just to try and pick this off. There isn't an observer as of yet, but there is one now in production. That Oracle will get taken out. Great little revelation being used there, revealing the position of these queens, just making things a bit easier. Note the Overseer as well with the army. That's essentially pick off the Observer to try and prevent it from granting vision of these Swarm Hosts so they can get taken out. But the queens need to make sure they make quick work of anything that could come through. The Swarm Hosts still doing a nice amount of damage with their Locusts, just picking away at everything. The Observer has once again been taken out, the Queen being very effective with that. Probes are getting transferred, but unfortunately Locust doing a nice bit of damage there. Another Nidus Worm coming out even closer. And are we now going to actually see Ourk try and go for the counter aggression? He doesn't know that the 3rd is not down yet. And remember, with the Nidus Worm coming in here, that can be a very quick retreat back to the natural base in order to defend it, which may be a little bit problematic. We'll wait and see whether or not we see AsTeR go for that. But Ourk moving forward now. There isn't really much to defend, and there comes down the swarm host. Remember that there isn't detection here, and that means that they are going to stay up indefinitely. With only a few swarm hosts, that can really put an end to this aggression, and it's going to be really frustrating because damage is still being done back at home. The first Colossus about to pop out will retreat, which is a smart play. You don't want that rallied forward, and for a good win for Ourk, he manages to get one of those mining bases and then is forced to mass recall. The big thing about that going down is the gas income. However, Ourk is about to lose his own natural. The third as well getting sieged by the Queens. The Queens moving out of position though do expose the swarm hosts. However, there isn't at the moment an observer on play, so that's not able to get taken out. The Nexus staying up for the time being. The third going to start taking some damage. The swarm hosts though, unfortunately, now taking a bit of a beating as they were unburrowed, but more locusts coming through. A lot of spine crawlers getting made of the natural just to try and stop another counter attack coming out. And Ourk still under a lot of locusts getting taken down. In terms of how cost effective these two are being, we can see that very little currently being lost by AsTeR. Just continually putting on the pain, putting on the pressure, being very aggressive with these swarm hosts. And that's what's causing the problem. Defensive swarm hosts, you can build up a huge army to deal with them, but Ourk now losing his Nexus, about to lose his third as well. The creep spread just gathering everywhere. The creep spread important for the Queens. That's the key thing, just to allow them a bit more mobility. But we just look at all of the damage being done now. Stalkers getting taken out left, right, and center. Ourk pretty much contained onto his main base. Is going for the double Colossus production, as well as a War Prism actually coming out there. So he's going to go for some drop play. And if you contain, dropping is one way to try and minimize how effective that will be. But look at this, a Spire coming down too, ready to get the Mutalisk tech switch down. But AsTeR still only on 2 bases. Doesn't really have enough gas to support that. He just needs to keep going with these locusts pretty much endlessly. Pretty much indefinitely, being very frustrating. Ourk down to just that main base mining. It does still have quite a few minerals sitting on some of the patches, but others getting very low. So Ourk is about to get starved of resources, but he's got a decent amount of minerals banked. It's not huge, but it's enough to last a while. And his army just sitting, trying to hold this ramp for the moment. A War Prism is going to go for a little bit of counter aggression, and the Spire will get taken down. Unfortunately, the main base doesn't have any static defense there, and the Nidus Worm has been taken out. That's exceptionally frustrating because now there's no quick way to get back home. Really annoying there. And well, how are we actually going to see now AsTeR deal with this? Well, AsTeR, he's just putting all of his drones back and is going to just say, do you know what, I'm going to build my base over at your base. See how you like that. And this is where things start getting a bit crazy. He's just going to build some buildings and just try and force Ourk to engage. This could go into a bit of a stalemate situation for quite a while because there's no real easy way for AsTeR to deal with this. He needs to keep all of his army tucked up together. Doesn't want to do anything too hasty, I might add. Just wants to try and keep it all alive. Make sure he builds something, which actually he hasn't yet. He could desperately do with making an extractor, saying, AsTeR, you need to make something. He's got a lot of spines around here. That's going to do a good job. Of course, Ourk can keep warping in more units just to keep being aggressive. He's bringing the Stalkers back for the moment. This hatchery probably won't get taken out, to be honest. There's a lot of spine crawlers there, but the Cybernetics Core is going to take quite a bit of fire. The Overseer, critically important, being played very far forward. Most of the army of Ourk sitting right near the back, just trying to keep things safe. The Cybercore going down is going to be a frustrating loss, not only because it means no more Stalkers or Sentries in production, but also because the wall off is now just that bit more wide, which means that, of course, we can see Locusts just start moving up, trying to do some more damage, being a bit frustrating. Force fields are going to have to be on the money consistently, just to really hold that back. The Sentry count is still, for the moment, sitting at 4, so can hold for quite a while, but can't warp in any more, remember, until a new Cybercore has been made, and currently there isn't one in production. That Mothership Core is taking quite a bit of damage, doesn't quite go down. Phone overcharge was forced though. That leaves the energy on that Mothership Core pretty low, actually down at 40, but simultaneously back at AsTeR's natural base, we see that these Stalkers are now doing a good job with the aid of the Zealots, picking up the spines. And AsTeR, has he realized that he doesn't have any buildings? AsTeR, you're about to run out of buildings. Once that hatchery goes down, you're going to be in problems. You need to make something with your drones. He's going to quickly try and take away these creep tumors. He needs to hurry up. He may actually have to make an extractor before anything else. Otherwise, he could run into problems. He desperately needs to make a hatchery or something. AsTeR, you've got to make a hatchery, otherwise you're in serious problems. You're about to lose the game. If that goes down... Oh, no, he's made one. Never mind. Okay, there's one made. There's one. It's all okay. It's all okay. Panic over. Woo! nearly panicked a lot. Unfortunately, the Stalkers may know where it's come down, and they're going to start coming to hunt for it. So AsTeR needs to be very defensive of that hatchery, because if that goes down, AsTeR really is left with no buildings. Still good checking around by Ourk. He's trying to keep an eye on it. But yeah, he needs to make sure that stays alive. If that goes down, it's going to be problems. And of course, we do see now, over comes this Stalker army. He's got to make sure that it is defended. The Locusts and Queens going through. Nidus going to get taken out. Still so many more. No Observer. And also, as far as I'm aware, there are robotic facilities, just no Observer coming out. Or pretty much starved of resources. The hatchery has been found. The Queens going to try and deal a lot of damage. Note these Queens do all have full energy, so they can transfuse a significant amount. Unfortunately, though, these Zealots, these Stalkers, slowly getting picked off. They could try and focus down the hatchery, but we need to see transfusers come down pretty quick by AsTeR if he wants to make sure that this stays up. Transfusing would be a great move there. There we go, back to full health. Ourk needs a second to try and work out his options at the moment, and the options are quite limited. He's still got a couple of Colossi up, but overall in terms of army supply, he's saying it's 66, down a little bit. But well, here we go. The Stalker's going to be backing away. Going to try and find a good option to go for. But well, this hatchery, critically important. The drone's mining to it. What really we want to see AsTeR do, and what AsTeR really wants to do, is get enough up to get a new hatchery somewhere else. Another robotic facility goes down, and unfortunately, that was, I believe, the last one it was. So that means no possibility of Ourk producing an Observer at the moment. And that's going to really hurt him. The Queens need to stay around here. Really, all of AsTER's attention has to be defending this hatchery. If that goes down, that's where problems come, and we may actually see Ourk. I'm not sure about this. Ourk potentially could go for a bit of a suicide move to try and kill her. I just don't know if he could get over there. That's a problem for him. But the longer he sits back, the harder it's going to get for him just to keep holding. Especially now there's enough money for another hatchery. Another hatchery could get made very close to one of these mineral fields, which would be a good move just so really he'd be safe from like a suicide attempt. But the Colossi just edging forward. The Mothership Core should get taken. Oh, just survived 7 HP. I thought it was going to go down there, but still. Couple of Stalkers just coming around, keeping a good eye. Note, upgrades, it's 1-0 up against 0-0. And this is now a very strange game. Mothership Core, so barely managing to survive. An Oracle coming out. But that's not going to be able to take out much. But it does grant detection. And that could be what is critically important. Getting that vision would be huge, but it was cancelled, and the Chrono Boost already down. A Twilight Council being opted for, and that Twilight Council is a bit interesting. I'm not quite sure what Ourk's planning with that, because he doesn't have any minerals or any income, so he can't really get anything off the back of this, which is quite surprising. And I think the Oracle may have been a better decision, because without any money, without any minerals, what is he hoping to achieve from this? He's just trying to mine a couple more, sneakily so. Just trying to keep this back. But he won't get any detection. And that's what he really needed, detection to deal with these swarm hosts. He doesn't have anything, even if it was a robotics facility. It may have made some sense, but I'm very confused by what Ourk is planning or hoping to achieve from this. The spawning pool comes down. The retech up is occurring. Still though, the Colossi and Gateway Army trading all the time with these Locusts, and of course any time they engage, they're taking damage, and any damage done to you by Locusts is never going to be cost effective. We can see that Ourk losing a significant amount more than that of his opponent, but he is still getting some mineral income now. He's just desperately trying to squeeze some more out, but what's he hoping to get? It is going to be a Dark Shrine, but there is the Overseer there. If the Overseer was sniped off, which it could now get taken down. Okay, no, he moved back. If Ourk can snipe off the Overseer, there's no detection all of a sudden, and that's what he's going to do. But has he committed too much with this? The Queen's moving forward. A lot of damage being done. Was that too much of a bold move? We'll wait to see, but unfortunately the anti-air really starting to struggle. The sentry count down to 4. They don't have that much energy, but was the Dark Shrine seen? That's the question. If it was, we should see a Spore Crawler get started shortly, as the Overseer is dead, or we may just see an attempt from AsTeR to try and end this. Remember, Ourk doesn't have enough minerals to make a DT though. That's a problem for him. So he can't get that DT out, even if he wanted to at the moment. His probes would have to try and mine, but just look at this denial of mining. I think the Warp Prism is still alive, so theoretically the probes could be pulled out, but yeah, the push still ongoing. Locust after Locust after Locust. The Warp Prism coming around the back with 2 Immortals. Gonna go for a little bit of quick damage. Could be very effective, but another hatchery already on its way down. And so I think that could be saved. But, of course, it's the probe count. Sitting at only 8. Needs to get enough money up for a Dark Templar. Can it work? Still though, War Prism coming in, gonna go for that Immortal drop. This is gonna be a little bit frustrating. Know that there's the other hatchery nearly down. AsTeR quickly pulling back, coming to try and deal with that. But this gives the probes a chance just to get some income. This hatchery definitely gonna go down. Not much can be done. Ourk probably thinks that he's about to win. Unfortunately though, there's more buildings around here, and the Queen's going to try and put an end to that. Oh no, if the Corruptors were able to get the snipe down on the War Prism, that would be terrible. Corruption would be good to use here, and this War Prism is going to get into a very perilous game of cat and mouse, but the Corruptor's actually coming back. Not going to worry too much there. Note though, Ourk getting a little bit more mineral income, getting slowly close to getting a DT down, but Spore Crawler's now been started, and I think with these Spore Crawlers, that is definitely now going to be GG. Because I just don't see a way that there could be enough DTs to ever deal with those spores, especially 3 of them. So really smart play. The Corruptor's coming in, suiciding somewhat. Still not enough money for a DT to come through. Once these Colossi are down, well, that's when the Locusts just go for it. There's not enough anti-air to stop it, and that probably will now be GG. These Swarmos doing really well. Game is cold. AsTeR will take the first game of this best of 3.